I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramblin' Man Podcast, episode number 73. This one is with Alexandra Brodt, and it's about her being a full-time illustrator. She participates at Comic Cons and Anime Cons and all kinds of conventions, also has her own swag for sale on her website. If you'd like to learn more about her, you can find her on her website at alexandrabrodt.com. That's ALEXANDRABRODT.com. In addition to that, she also did the art and illustration for future guest Darren Fink's book that's aimed at children, focused around adoption, called Magical Creatures. You can find out more about that book or order it at magicalcreatures.com. That's magical spelled the way you would spell magical, and creatures just minus that last E. So it ends TURS.com. Or you can go to his website at transfiguringadoption.com and find the book there too. We want to thank Alexandra for being on the podcast. No sponsor this week. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and if you really want to help, really want to give back, really want to show support, find Black-owned businesses in your community and support them, but don't just support them now and get a pat on the back. Support them in perpetuity. And if you'd like to give any money, go to blacklivesmatter.com and give money there. Find a local chapter and do what you can, no matter what. Thank you again for listening. Without much further ado, here's the episode.
You are in Oklahoma.
Yes.
Which, and you may have told me this, but just for the sake of this, what part of Oklahoma are you in?
I am in Oklahoma City. So
Oklahoma City,
the
Oklahoma.
Central part, the capital of the state.
Okay.
Very, very unique name for, a capital city, I will say. It took them a long time to come up with that name.
I want to make a joke, but I want to say just like Kansas City, Kansas, but I don't know that I don't think Kansas City is the capital.
There's Joplin, I think, Missouri. No. Oh no.
No, Kansas.
Google. Of Kansas. Well, there's Kansas City, Missouri, and there's Kansas City, Kansas.
I know.
But it's Wichita, Kansas. No,
Wichita.
Topeka. It's Topeka. It's Topeka. No, it's Wichita.
So my reasoning is when I was in high school, the teacher who taught either geography or history, and I still don't know which one, was the football coach. Mm-hmm. So instead of going, I would literally walk into class and go, okay, you and Jeff are here today. See y'all. And he would point us out the room. We would go clean up the weight room, lift weights. And then we were both artists. So we did the sign painting for the advertisements that went around the football field.
Nice.
And I still don't know if I was in history or geography. So when it comes to that, I'm like, I don't know. I didn't take, no.
Like I was never formally educated in that.
No.
Just in sign painting.
If you need to know how to break down an AB Dick 880 press, I got you covered. If you need to know what the capital of Kansas is, I'm out. Sorry.
I believe it's Topeka.
Okay.
B final answer. We'll have to confirm this on Google later.
No, it's fine.
But,
I like the old times where you would be in a bar and you'd have an argument and you could not search for it on your phone.
And yet we still have fistfights over the actual answer.
Fake news.
When Google's here.
Yeah.
Right. Google's just fake news. That's fine.
Are you born and raised Oklahoma City?
I grew up in Edmond, which is a suburb of Oklahoma City, basically. It's a city, but it's just about 15 to 20 minutes north of where I live now in Oklahoma City. But yeah, I've lived in Oklahoma all of my life. One day I might get out. I've at least got to travel a lot, so that's good. Cost of living is low, which is nice. And there are some good people here, and the art scene's definitely coming along, and we got some good people. So
yeah, now that makes me want to Google do you know what, population of Oklahoma City? I'm curious what it rivals. That I would know. I'm going to look it up.
Look it up, because I'm like, what, are we doing an episode of Small Town Murder? Like, what's happening right now? We're going to go population. Let's talk about all the other demographics.
No, it's always because, oh, geez, never mind. Okay, not even. Here we go. Since I've got it, you're bigger than Tulsa. You're bigger than Kansas City, Kansas is actually a rival city to my town. It's actually a little smaller than my town.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee. It says our population is 187,500, but I don't think that's here. I'm going to be the nerd and say I don't think that's 100% accurate, because I think it's one of those things where we're such a sprawl city to where that might be city proper, but there's so much in the circle. I'm like, we're a bigger town than that. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, Oklahoma City is the same way. It's super sprawling, and like, you know, you have the map, and you have like Edmond and Bethany and Moore and Norman and Midwest City and stuff like that. But everything like spidering out in between those cities is technically Oklahoma City.
So here's a funny thing. You all are, God, why do I need to look this up? The 25th biggest U.S. city. Oh. So urban is
cost of living.
Urban is 861,505. Metro is 1 million, almost 400,000. So this is what's funny to me about Knoxville. Knoxville it's not 100 and something. It's actually 558,000. And the sprawl area is over 1 million. So we're close-ish, minus almost 400,000. I don't know.
All right.
I always want to argue that my city is bigger than it is, because it's still, I don't know. I love my city too much. So
it seems to matter to you a lot.
Yeah, it does. Because I think I talk to a lot of people who act like what we act like for some of the one light towns are around here. Like, oh, Knoxville, that's this adorable little city. It's like, no, it's not. Please stop saying that. Please stop saying that.
And then you're talking to someone who's like in Oklahoma, where like definitely people are like, oh yeah, like, do you even, you have a what's like a popular wait,
no,
like
it's
you have
like
a Marshalls.
No, it's like, oh, did you all get a Walmart? That's cute.
Right. It's like you only have Walmart, right? And I'm like, I mean, it's like, you have sushi there? And it's like, yes, we actually have some incredible sushi here. Why, thank you.
In that vein, do you know the drive-by truckers? Have you heard the musicians, drive-by truckers? No. Jason Isbell? No.
Are we in like a country music genre that I'm not that familiar with?
So, drive-by truckers, I don't know how to describe them. They're a Southern band. They're pretty big, and Jason Isbell is he's probably top 3 most critically acclaimed musicians in the country right now.
Why is that name familiar?
Jason Isbell in the 400 unit.
But is he also an actor?
No.
Oh, never mind.
So the two of them, they have both said that the best sushi they've ever had is here in Knoxville, which I always laugh at. And I was like, really? Okay, cool. That's cool, I guess. But no, but yeah, I love my town, so I'm always arguing. Well, when you said cost of living, I was like, yeah, that's a big draw here because
Yeah.
I've had friends move down from like New Jersey, and they're at one. I still remember this argument, or not this discussion. A friend was having like, oh yeah, we got this really good deal on a house. It was only $425,000.
And you're like, was it a McMansion? Because it could have been.
And
No, it was like a 1-bedroom house.
Well, what's funny is it was a little about the same size of my house, and at that same time, I paid $83,500 for my house, and they were dying. They were just like,
Oh yeah.
So one couple moved down here, and they were like, that $400,000 house is like $110,000 down here.
Yeah.
Now our cost of living is going up to where you'll be lucky to get that same house for like 150, 165,000.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's the same thing. So I have a few friends in LA, and one of them is a transplant from here, and he and his wife bought a house like a year and a half ago, and it's similar to my house, and it is, it's I mean, it's like 4 to 5 times. No.
Oh yeah.
Like 2.5 times more, maybe 3 times more expensive than my house. And it's, the same size and everything. But I'm like, you also get to live, in North Hollywood, in, LA. And I am supremely jealous of that. So it's fine. I have a place to stay when I visit.
There's a comedian I know that he has bragged that when he and his wife got their house, I think 15 years ago, maybe not it, maybe, wait, no, their daughter, yeah, it was about 15 years ago. They paid like $1.3 million for that house. And they're like, we got a deal. And I was like, you are out of your mind. You are out. It's like, do you know how many 100,000, how many square feet you could get for 1.3 million?
How many houses you could just own? Like,
how much land?
I would like to buy that block, please.
Oh, I just laugh here. It's like, oh, there's some counties in the outstretches of East Tennessee. It's like, oh, you now own the county for $1.3 million.
This is your unincorporated territory. Do with it what you will.
Yeah. So so you're from kind of the surrounding area. Yeah. Did you go to school in Oklahoma City, or did you go away to go to school?
No, so Edmond is also a college town, and we have the University of Central Oklahoma. And so I went there because it was nice and cheap, and also had a really good graphic design program. So I am an illustrator, but also I have a bachelor's in graphic design and a minor in illustration because we didn't have an illustration major at that point. And it was cheaper, but also really good education, honestly. And we had smaller class sizes too. So it was really good. What
got you into, what made you think about design as a major? Was it because there was no illustration major, so you had to find something that was kind of tangible that you could take?
Well, my parents were always very supportive of my pursuing art as a career. But my mother said, hey, there's this thing called graphic design. Maybe you should go into that because it might be the only way you make money as an adult.
Ish. She's partially right. Yeah.
She's partially right. I don't regret it though, because I worked as a graphic designer for 8 years, and started out actually as a pre-press graphic designer in a print shop.
Nice.
So when you said print shop, I got excited to talk about paper and shit. And screen printing, though I didn't work in a screen print shop, but I did do screen printing in college. But anyway,
that's what led you to graphic design.
That's what led me to graphic design. And I don't regret it because I really learned so much, in design and preparing files for printing, and just attention to detail, and like learning, those design principles that have aided me in my illustration and career now full-time as an artist alley, a convention artist and freelance illustrator and designer. So
that's so a little background on me. I've been a graphic designer now for what year is it? For 28 years. I started at age 13. Our high school had a vocational department, and it had vocational. It was a vocational school, so they had print shop, upholstery, woodworking, auto mechanics, electrical, all that. And the print shop was one of the only 2 classes that had a computer, and it was a Mac Classic. Like it was literally the Mac Classic, and that's what I started on. So I've been working in printing since I was 13 years old.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I've worked in pretty much anything you can imagine. It's funny because I was talking last night. I bid on a big job here, and I sat with the owner of the company and the marketing director, and they were like, "Well, no, now we need menus designed. Can you do that too?" I was like, if there's anything that can be designed, I have designed it in my life. This is adorable that you all think I can't design a menu. It's like, do you want to see one I designed? Here you go. It's even got my name on it because I added myself as a menu item at that restaurant. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, I've been doing that for a long time. And it was the same thing. It was, I had to choose between 2 schools. One of them was a technical school. One of them was the university. The university did have art as a major. So like the first 2 years, you didn't touch a computer. But the technical school, you touch a computer immediately. I was like, I still go back and talk to kids. And this was 1996 when I started going to college. I told them, I was like, this is a funny phrase to say in 2020. I chose that because I believed computers were the future. Nice. And people don't understand that in 2020. It's like, yeah, 1996, it was still, iffy,
Well, and, we did have an art program, I will say, but I wanted to pursue illustration because I wasn't like an abstract artist or necessarily like a formal like oil painter artist. Like I didn't necessarily want to do realism. I just, I loved anime and manga.
Yeah.
That's where I wanted to go with that. But definitely going into graphic design where you really became close with technology and the programs. It was so advantageous.
Right.
And even in, 2006, 10 years later, I was like, oh, I'm so glad that I'm working with computers because I saw like the art side. They really weren't, there weren't digital painting classes back then.
Right.
Or at my school, at least.
Oh, I don't think there are now either.
There are.
Oh, are there? Okay. Yeah. I think it's weird in that I'm going to make fun of the university here, but that's okay. I think it's a lot of their teachers are hippy dippy artists from like the 60s and 70s. So I still remember my art teacher in high school. We went and visited the university's art school, and she was like, "Look at this piece of art my husband and I did." And we were outside, and I was like, "That looks like grass." And she was like, "No, see how the hills dip down? My husband and I did that as an art project." I was like, "What the fuck are you smoking? What is going on?" Like, she was like, "Yeah, that we worked really hard on that." And I was like, "Cool. Cool. I don't want to risk getting a bad grade in your class. So cool. Sounds great." So I think that for them, I don't think they do digital. I think they still do, because the kids in the design program still have to do everything by hand the first 2 years.
Cut and paste for 2 years?
For 2 years.
Sorry, I yelled.
A friend of mine who's going to school there in 96, he showed me a CD design he did that he had to cut and paste. And that was back before you could find like a template online and download. So he had to break down a CD he owned to build a digipack.
Oh,
that's why I say even now in 2020, there's still that. I just did a portfolio review up there, and like 2 or 3 of the kids did app development. I was like, we're in 2020. App development should be a project in this program.
Yeah.
It's like we're too far along, man. Like,
what a waste of money. Like, that's such a waste of your education to be doing cut and paste. Like we did take a pre-press graphic design class in one of our last semesters at college, and it was literally it was to show you how it was done, but that was just one class, and there was also portfolio building class. So
Right.
not that you used your cut and paste method stuff for your portfolio, but it like, you know, just like a little bit of the course was used to show you, oh, hey, this is what we did. We did like the beeswax thing and the burnisher, and like, here's what a pica pole actually is. And like, here's how you measure type. And like, oh my gosh.
There you go.
Yeah. I have my pica pole still from that class.
Yeah, when I left high school, my last semester, I was teaching the pre-vote class, and my instructor, he let me keep 2 of the rulers.
Oh, that's mine.
Yeah,
I have that one.
He let me keep 2 of the rulers when I left. He's like, "Yeah, take these." He's like, "I'll get more. Don't worry about it."
You got any amberlith or rubylith lying around?
Yeah, and I actually found I still have I have 2 or 3 of the pens because I would keep them in my pockets, to where we actually in high school we would design in the computer, print it out, shoot the negative, and develop it, burn it onto a plate, strip it up, burn it onto a plate, and then put it on the press. So I still I found a couple of the markers, to the opaque markers, to clean up the film, any dots. Yeah.
Okay, luckily we never had to go that far with it.
But you talk about really learning from the ground up.
And like, I remember our professor talking about that. Like, that's like the drums or whatever.
Oh yeah.
What you had to do.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad.
Oh, the press. I made this joke to one of my pressmen at the print shop. Every once in a while you'd get paper in your rollers, and whenever you did, you had to break down the entire press and clean everything and start over. So there was one day I got paper in the rollers, and I just looked at it. I shut down the press. I walked through the shop, out the front door, and the teacher was like, where are you going? I was like, I'm going to get a Coke. There's paper in the rollers. I need a minute. He was like, okay, see ya.
No.
Yeah. But all that was great learning. So when I hear people are still learning by hand, I was like, I can see that ish, but not 2 years.
For like half of a class. Yeah. Like half of one class. That was enough.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I know I worked with digital copiers with when I worked as a pre-press designer, and I remember when paper would jam. It's nowhere near like an actual press, but oh my gosh, you always had to make sure to put all your puzzle pieces back together, because you did not want to lose a scrap of paper in there.
Yeah. When we got when I worked at the print shop, we got a high-end color printer to do like digital print runs.
What'd you get? You remember?
It was a piece of crap. I don't know. It was 5 years beyond when it should have actually been doing that. And so I got a ton of scraps of paper in the back and started doing tests on it. Mm-hmm. We're like, how does this run? How does coated paper run? How does, matte paper? I was like, well, coated paper doesn't run for crap. It's like on this. And I kept trying. And there was one point where I just got different weights. And I was like, we're going to test how thick a paper I can send through this thing. Oh, no. And
There's so many settings, bro.
No, I figured it out. And I got some pretty thick paper there. I got this paper actually for a movie. There was a guy that had found old newspaper digital files. And so I printed old paper, but he was like, I need the paper to be thick so that it doesn't just fall over in the shot, because we're going to use it a lot.
Yeah.
So I found, and it was like 12-point paper. Like it was some thick paper, and got it to go through there. And he came and picked it up. He's like, yep, looks good. I was like, what movie? Yeah. I need to know where I'm going to see my work in a movie. Yeah.
I was able to get 14 point through our Canon Image Press 2100. Like, you couldn't do double-sided.
Oh, yeah.
Double-sided 12 point. Like, if you wanted to do double-sided, you had to put it through there twice. Because you just couldn't get that paper bend and come out nice. But no, 14 point, that's about the highest I could ever get it to go.
Then you started, because there was one time we had a technician that came out, and I think I tried to run 14 or 15 point through it.
They were mad
and he was like, dude, he's like, you're going to murder these rollers. I was like, okay. No, to that point, no. My boss who helped me raise my desk, God love him, but he would always get stuff on a deal. So we actually went to where we started doing our own film, to where I would design the files and then submit them to film. But because you worked in that environment, you'll like this. So I'm working on a G5 tower. I would have to export EPS files with no fonts to a like Performa 7200. Oh no, it gets worse. To then send those to a Windows 95 machine from 1995 to then rip to film. And when it wouldn't work, my boss would be like, why ain't it working? I was like, because it's 2006, because it's 2006 and you have me working from a machine that is from like 1987.
You're like, and how are we not actually just printing everything on a dot matrix at this point? Because that's what I feel your technology's at.
And I would have to do that. And I had somebody that worked with me, and she refused to like change out the chemicals within the. So when they would go bad, they would be. No, the chemicals,
the chemicals in the press. Oh,
in the film machine.
Okay,
like actual developer chemicals.
Oh, it's super caustic. Yeah.
Yeah. So they would, whenever it would screw up or it'd run out of film, she would go back there and she'd come back up to the office. She was like, it's out of film. I was like, you can change it. And she was like, I don't want to. I was like,
I just don't get paid enough.
Yeah. So I was like, hell, I don't get paid enough. So
I know.
I was like, okay, let me finish up this design and I'll go back there. It'll be about 20 minutes. And then like 10 minutes later, it was a couple that owned that print shop. The wife would come in there and she'd be like, you need to change out that film. I was like, I'm trying to meet a deadline on this proof. She's like, but you need to change that film.
You're like, I'm doing my job and hers.
Yeah. And so I'd say, fine. And I would go change the film and I would come back up and she's like, hey, that client called and you didn't meet their proof. I was like,
oh my God.
You told me to, like, it ended up being who's on first to finally, I was like, you know what? I'm out. I'll see you guys later. This is stupid.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Yeah. I can't keep going down that rabbit hole. Anyway, I never get to talk to anybody about geeky printing stuff.
I'm so excited.
Okay. So
over what?
Yeah.
They're like 2? And I'm like, no, stop.
Yeah. So you, man,
you're excited.
No, my little USB light went out, and I know I'm not saving for video, but it also looks like I am a villain in a Bond film, so I feel like I need to do a little bit of light.
I'm lucky I have a window behind my computer, so that's just really nice.
My window's from the
podcast during the day.
My kitchen, which is over where the light comes from, is just a black hole, except for in the morning. So it's always super dark. And this is super interesting for a audio podcast. But
yes, absolutely.
So you go to that school, you choose graphic design.
Yes.
Were you happy in that choice? Like, did you actually enjoy doing that as a program?
Did because in our graphic design program, which became accredited as well while I was there, some fancy accreditation I don't actually remember the name for, but it's fancy. Anyway, they had 3 focuses that you could kind of get on track for. So everyone did the art core, and then they switched that up while I was there. That everyone started out in design and ended in design. So like. Okay. No one did like a drawing 1 and 2 and 2D fundamentals and stuff, which is what I did. But that's fine because I also was very drawing focused and illustration. But the tracks are print design, web design, and illustration. So I was still able to pursue illustration, but still reap the benefits of all the design knowledge and learning how to be a print designer and such like that, So I was really happy with that. And I was one of the first semesters. I was the first semester to graduate with a minor in illustration because we finally got it approved. And because I took every single illustration class offered as my electives, I qualified.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you still in the back of your mind had kind of the focus on like, I still want to do illustration. I know design's got to pay the bills, but in the long run, I want to do illustration.
Yes.
Okay.
But I still enjoy design. I like doing print layout. I like doing poster design and all sorts of stuff. Oh, actually, I got to a few years ago. There's a local musician. You should totally check him out. You might like him. Andy Adams. And he's on Spotify and whatnot. And I designed his album, his vinyl and his CD pack. And that was kind of always a bucket list thing for me. Like I always wanted to have my work on a vinyl. And I got to do that. And it was incredible. The album is Back to Square One by Andy Adams.
Okay.
And it's got this awesome, he loved my illustration and ended up illustrating this really cool sea turtle and kind of map thing. It's super descriptive.
Okay, I'm making a note. I will look him up.
Yeah.
What kind of
stuff? It's kind of folksy.
Kind of folksy? Okay. Yeah. So it may in addition to that, well, I actually have like 6 podcasts now. But yeah,
have him on. He's a joy to talk to. Seriously.
But I also have a radio show that I do every week called Porch Sitting, where it's porch sitting type music. So if he's folky like that, I'm always looking for new musicians so I can mix it up a little bit.
I cannot recommend him enough.
Andy Adams, Back to Square One. Yes. Perfect. You got him on. Got him down. That's been kind of fun here. Like I ended up starting a music website. So I became friends with 90% of the musicians in town. So I've gotten to do a lot of music art, which is always fun. And sometimes I had hair before I started doing some of it's a little iffy on them, but it's always, I don't know, if they let you go, it's awesome. But sometimes it's a little cumbersome.
Well, that's with any design or even illustration project. I mean,
Yeah, there's one I'm working on right now that I'm bidding on that's for a newsletter redesign. And they're like, how much will you charge? I was like, I should charge a lot more because I can tell you're going to be a pain.
Yes, there are certain price levels, price points.
Yeah.
For I don't really want to do this job, but if you're going to pay me enough, I will do it. Yeah.
Nice. So you graduate. Do you immediately get a job? Was the print shop the first job you had?
The print shop was the first design-oriented job I had. I got it about probably about a year and 2 months after I graduated. I graduated in December 2010.
Okay.
And I was working at the UCO library while I was in college as well. So I was working there and I was trying to find a job. And I was really trying to find an illustration job. And boy, did I have so many dreams to like move out into LA and get a job in an animation studio. And hey, if anyone's listening from, DreamWorks or anywhere, that's cool. I'd love to do that still. But yeah, it hasn't happened yet.
Oh, well,
who knows?
There's always
time.
Yeah, there's always time.
And I'm good with just freelance too. I like working out of my house. I'm not gonna lie. Pre-pandemic too.
Yeah, you get used to it. It's interesting because another thing I'm a big comic book person. My dad got tons of comics when he was in the service in the 60s and early 70s. So he kept a lot of those books. And when I was young, he gave them to me to read. So I was reading a bunch of old Stan Lee and stuff. Oh yeah. But the funny part is I've got some that are worth a lot of money. And then he showed me photos where he took some of them and cut them up and hung them up on his wall. And I was like, oh, there's the first Punisher. Awesome, Dad. I was like, it's just cut up and put up on your wall. But I do have the Death of Green Goblin, Death of Gwen Stacy, Amazing Spider-Mans.
Oh, wow.
From John Romita Jr. So I grew up on those. Another thing I got involved with I swear there is a point to this story, but it is rambling, man. I became friends with two comic book creators who wrote this book that was very small run called 30 Days of Night, Steve Niles and Ben Templesmith. It got turned into a few movies.
Okay.
So it's about vampires figuring out that they can go to Barrow, Alaska, where there are 30 days of night.
That's cool.
Yeah. So in the early days of message boards online, I became friends with all these artists, comic book writers. And there's one friend of mine that she is a con person too.
Oh, yeah?
And she specializes in like Star Wars drawings. Like she's got
what's her name?
Jessica Hickman. So she's up in Minnesota, I think.
Wait, is she married to another artist and also no? Okay.
You may be thinking of Jonathan Hickman out of Tennessee. He's actually out of Tennessee.
I think I am.
That's okay.
Well,
but or you may be thinking. Are you thinking of Kelly Sue Donick and Matt Fraction? I can rattle off names all day long.
I'm terrible with names. No, it's no. I met his brother at a convention. He was tabling for him, and it's like a husband and wife like art team. And
okay.
I think they might be based out of Missouri, maybe. I know he's in Kansas. I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, but Jessica, like, she actually got hired to draw some of the Star Wars from Dark Horse, their trading cards. Like, she drew those. But because of that, like, that's what she does now. She does, custom illustrations for people, commissions, and does some of the cons and stuff. So she has become kind of, no, that's what she does, and she loves it. Yeah, that when you're talking about freelance illustrating, it's like, I know people who are literally doing that for a living, and it's amazing.
Yeah, so I've been doing cons full time for this will be the third year. Now this year, of course, a lot of them got canceled. So
third year with an asterisk on it.
Yeah. Third year, but overall, I have been doing cons for 13 years.
Okay.
I started when I was in college, sharing one table with two other girls, just trying to do really crappy Copic commissions and charging like $20 for a full color commission. Oh God! That's only what they were worth then. Don't worry.
God. Okay.
I look at them, and that's all they were worth.
And it was, and you said Artist Alley, so you would get the booth in Artist Alley, which is essentially a 6-foot table with maybe a tablecloth if you're lucky.
Yes, it was a run of the mill black tablecloth, and I had my really awful 8.5 by 11 Kinko's prints of my digital art that I did with my Wacom Graphire tablet that was like this big.
Oh yeah.
Very tiny motions. Oh man, my Naruto fan art. Yeah.
What is Naruto?
Naruto? It's
I'm not an anime person, so
no, you're good. It's a very popular anime. It was and still is. It has like a sequel that's not good, I don't think. I don't know.
I know Akira. I know
that's a good one.
Ghost in the Shell and the sequel.
Okay.
And I know Vampire Hunter D in the sequel.
That's a great one. What about Cowboy Bebop?
No, my cousin, I actually had my cousin on an episode of this to talk about anime, and he is a hardcore. In fact, I'm trying to think. So his nickname that he goes by online, and he will not like me saying this because he kind of likes doing it.
Tell me.
It's Alec the Lad. And I think that's from Cowboy Bebop or some other anime. It's from something. I don't know what it's from. And it may be something close, like something the lad. I don't know. He's down the rabbit hole. So God knows.
That's fine. I mean, I feel like I watched anime for like a solid 10 years, and then I just like stopped, and then I just like love what I loved, and I need to
Yeah.
rewatch it and
Yeah.
watch more things. So if I'm blanking on things, totally.
I think Akira, it's because everybody held it up as like the greatest movie ever made.
It's
But
like Hayao Miyazaki movies. Like general people know them. Spirited Away.
I know. I've sadly I've never seen any of those films.
Okay, well, you need to do that. I'm sorry.
I think it's
That's your job now.
I think it's because when they first came up and were known, it was back when they would only come to the art theater in town.
Yes.
So it was.
But now we have online streaming services that you can take advantage of. They are all on HBO Max.
Are they really? Okay.
They just added.
So here's the question for you: do I need to watch them with the subtitles, or can I do the English translation?
I have very strong opinions.
Go for it. No, I want to hear it.
No, I have very strong opinions about which ones I like more in Japanese or English of the Hayao Miyazaki movies.
It varies. So it
varies for me.
Okay.
Because I absolutely love the dub of Howl's Moving Castle.
Okay.
It's just, and it's also the first way I ever saw it. So I think that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Kiki's Delivery Service, which is just so good. It's such a good movie. It's great to watch in these pandemic times.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. It's so uplifting. I watch it, the Japanese, with the English subtitles because I absolutely cannot stand the English dub, because a lot of dub that is from like the 90s or early 2000s, even, like, especially if they're voice acting like a young girl, it gets real screechy. Like the Inuyasha dub, I absolutely just despised.
Yeah.
Because it's like in the Japanese, Kagome would be saying, she'd be like, hold on.
Oh, I didn't expect impersonations on that.
Yeah. She'd be like, Inuyasha. And then in the English one, she'd be like, Inuyasha.
Oh my God.
What is going on?
Oh my God.
So that's why I can't stand a lot of like 90s and early 2000s dubs. Except with the exception of Cowboy Bebop, it is fantastic both ways. Okay. Japanese or English, doesn't even matter. They're beautiful either way.
I just realized another one he keeps pushing me to watch is called One Punch Man.
Oh, One Punch Man is so good. Okay. So you would like One Punch Man.
I like it. I've got this list of homework now. It's like
you have a list of homework. So I absolutely adore One Punch Man because it takes everything that is ridiculous in anime and it made it into an anime. So I'm sure that despite the fact that you're like, no, I'm not really into anime, you know what Dragon Ball Z is probably.
Yes.
You probably saw some really long, drawn out fight of these two bro dudes going like, Super Saiyan, and then like it takes 5 episodes for anyone to actually make a move and like try to hit each other. I don't know, it's not my cup of tea, but One Punch Man totally like makes fun of that. Like it's great, like the thing is he'll knock out enemies in one punch, but like it's more than that. And then there's like some really awesome side characters and just the character himself. He's like, so just like unimpressive. And then like, he does a super impressive thing. It's just, it's wonderfully comedic.
Okay.
Makes me happy.
All right. That's 2 votes for me seeing One Punch Man. So
absolutely. It's on Netflix as well.
So when
I think I watched it in the Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's just fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I started watching. I started watching some German film or TV show, and it defaulted to the English dub, and it hurt my brain watching their mouths.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I can't. So I went back. I was like, and I'm not opposed to watching stuff with subtitles. I actually like a lot of the Korean films and stuff like that. But
that's a Korean drama that my friend got me into that I've been watching.
Yeah. And French films, but the only problem during pandemic times, there's a couple that I'm friends with that they're big movie nerds too. Mm-hmm. And I told them, I was like, there's 2 things I've learned during the pandemic. Number one, there's not a lot of foreign films available on streaming. Like I tried to watch some French film. I was like, that's not available anywhere.
Yeah.
And
a
then I went to
lot.
something else. And I was like, that's not, what in the hell is up with the foreign films not on streaming?
I mean, you have to look at it this way because honestly, it was really hard to get them on DVD even.
Yeah.
I have a lot of films that I've had to get on through the Criterion collection.
Yep.
Because they were just unavailable anywhere. Couldn't find them. Like Les Samurai, it's just like a French film, actually.
The one I watched more recently was The Umbrellas of Schoenberg.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it?
No.
Did you like La La Land?
Oh, yeah.
So La La Land was essentially
Oh.
no, he didn't rip it off, but it was a lot of like the color palette.
Oh.
And but not one word is spoken in the Umbrellas film. It's all sung, and it's Catherine Deneuve.
Oh.
But the funny part is the two main leads are not singers. So it takes like 10, 15 minutes to get into it. But once you get into it, and it's gorgeous to look at, it's got these crazy colors. He does these crazy long takes.
Mm-hmm.
And the ending is like at the end of that movie, I was like, son of a bitch, man. Like it's so good. Like it's so well done. But it's Criterion. And but that was one of those things I was like, man, I don't even know. I don't want to spend $100 getting a year of Criterion if I don't know this movie is good or not. And I was certain through. But the other thing I learned during pandemic is like, I don't want to watch any of these heavy movies.
Oh
like,
my gosh, no!
I've watched My Spy with Dave Bautista 3 times because it's so fun and stupid and charming that I'm like, you know what? This film is not a 10, but I don't care because it's funny enough and it's sweet enough.
It's fluff.
Yes, and it's on Amazon, and I can watch it whenever. And that couple, he was like, "You're dumb." And I told him, I was like, dude, just watch it. And he said, I got 5 minutes in and I'm ready to punch you. And I was like, come on, man. Dave Bautista is awesome, man. This is
give it a moment.
Yeah. And I just heard somebody on a podcast say, it's like Kindergarten Cop. I was like, it is exactly like Kindergarten Cop, man. It is. And the little girl is hilarious. She's funny. Horrible trailer, good movie.
Okay.
And it just
check it out.
If there's a night where like, you know what, everything is on fire and I just want something that is dumb and a lot of fun. I would never say it was dumb to Dave Bautista's face because he could rip me in half. Mm-hmm. But I love him. He's one of my favorite actors right now. Yeah. Between Blade Runner 2049, him and Spectre, him in the Guardians films, he's the best. He's the best. He's the absolute best. Okay, now I'm going to go back.
Oh, no, you're fine. Oh, I got to mention, though, that I'm on, like, my 4th rewatch of The Office since, like, March. And that's been, like, my pandemic, my pandemic therapy.
So
my retail therapy.
Mine has been watching clips of The West Wing. And clips of...
I also have been watching The West Wing. Hoping for better times one day.
So I will suggest something. There is a podcast called The West Wing Weekly.
Oh, yes, I've heard of it. And I wanted to watch all of The West Wing before I started it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
So I
like them.
When that podcast started like 5 years ago.
It just ended like earlier this year, right?
So what I would do is every week I would watch an episode of The West Wing and then listen to that episode. But that was also like my 6th or 7th time watching The West Wing all the way through. The Office, I liked it, but there were times, because I think I binged like the first 3 seasons. There were times where I was sitting on my couch watching it, I remember, and I had to stand up and pace because I was so uncomfortable.
So something that helped me is the Office Ladies podcast.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
So it's just like West Wing Weekly. You know, it's Angela and Pam.
Yeah.
Actually, Angela
Kinsey
and then Jenna Fisher.
Yeah.
And they are the Office Ladies, and they're going over everything, and they have guests on, you know, other actors or writers of the show.
Yeah.
And it makes me appreciate The Office in a different way.
Yeah.
That, like, where I was like, oh God, this is so cringy before, like, I can't even do it.
Yeah.
And like, I would just get frustrated or just like, like, I'm so uncomfortable. Where I'm just like, oh yeah, you went there. Okay, I see the writing behind this now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's so
see,
hard.
See, for me, I think Parks and Rec, because it's a little sweeter. So I think that's why I'm like, man, all these people are so great, and Andy and Ron Swanson, my hero.
Ron Swanson. Oh my gosh. I mean, friggin' April, Aubrey Plaza. I'm just like, I love you so much.
And I always loved when John Raphael popped in.
Oh, Jean Ralphio and Mona Lisa are the stars of the show, in my opinion. It's like, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious. Anyway, you're gonna get random singing. It's gonna happen.
Impersonation singing. This is like a trifecta here.
I mean, I make up little songs, and I like to do impressions. I do really good impressions of some things. And I say this on a podcast.
We can't see anything. But yeah, I think that's the one. I think The Office was just too uncomfortable for me, and West Wing. And there was actually a point where I started rewatching Andy Griffith shows. I was like, man, I love Andy Griffith so much, where I was like, this is like a warm blanket right here. Opie's going to learn a lesson this episode. I can't wait.
I think I feel that way about Murder, She Wrote, and Diagnosis Murder, and Rodney Steele, Scarecrow, Mrs. King. Yeah, we didn't have cable growing up, so like PAX 62 was my jam.
Yeah. Well, that's I've tried other things that are not available. That's weird. Is like I tried going back and rewatching Night Court and Quantum Leap. Those were the two I was like, I want to rewatch these. And Night Court's not available anywhere, so I ended up rewatching Cheers. And Cheers, I will say,
Night Court. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, Cheers, I will say, is an unbelievable show. Like, I knew it was great, but it was. I was telling friends, I was like, the fact that they did entire season arcs on Sam and Diane's relationship for a comedy in the 80s is insane. That they were like, okay, this season they're going to be estranged. This season they're going to be together. This season they're going to, and not only that, there were jokes that were like, the first part of the joke was dropped in like episode 12, season 1, and then season 3, episode 20, they came back to that joke. And it was like Cliff, because Cliff went to Florida and made a big deal of it, and they kept doing the joke for a few episodes after, and then they came back to that joke. And I was like, people don't even do this now. What are you talking about?
Our attention spans are not that long.
Yeah. But yeah, Cheers is an amazing rewatch until Diane leaves and it becomes Rebecca. Like I made it about half a season. I was like, this sucks. This is not the same. I don't know what changed, but good God. Okay.
No, Cheers is a beast. And, it also like spun off Frasier, which is like the longest running spinoff of any show.
Yeah.
Still, I think.
I think it also like won the most Emmy awards.
Frasier's also amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh man. I used to think it was so funny growing up, and then like as an adult I like watched it again and I'm like, this is funny, but like painfully funny. I'm like, Frasier, you're such a dick.
Oh yeah, his dad is right 100% of the time.
Marty is the real MVP.
Yeah, him and Roz. I always had a crush on Roz when I was a kid.
So good.
I did not like Daphne as much. It may be that high-pitched voice thing that you were talking about. But Roz, I was like...
She's an anime voice actor from 1996. Don't know, but maybe. I believe it.
Yeah, Roz always killed me. I loved her. And Bulldog. Good. Okay.
Oh, God. Bulldog still annoys me, but that's
fine. The funniest part I loved, the factoid about Bulldog, is that guy in real life is actually gay. So it's...
Really?
Yeah, it's even funnier that he's so like aggressive.
That is even funnier.
And that came out like, I think when the show was still on.
Yeah.
And then he was on an episode. It's like, that's hilarious. It's like you get a gay man to play this like alpha male, short, like, literally a bulldog.
Yeah.
I was like, that's amazing.
I guess that's kind of like Neil Patrick Harris, playing Barney Stinson on How I Met
How I
Your
Met Your
Mother.
Mother.
He plays a super womanizer. Oh
The
my.
crazy hot scale. I've got a friend that he still refers to that every once in a while. He'll be
Ride
like,
or die, crazy hot scale. Is that what he does?
yeah. He lives by that. But okay, we're going to go backwards.
Okay.
So you're in college and you start going to cons. Had you attended cons before that? And that's what you had. Okay.
Sorry, cut you off there.
No.
No, I had attended cons for a few years before that. Not that there were like a ton of huge cons in Oklahoma by any means. There were none, but I did go to Anime Fest in Dallas when I was 17. And
Okay.
that was a lot of fun.
So the focus of your draw to it and your illustration was anime, not really comics.
Right.
Okay.
But I still like comics a lot.
Yeah.
So
I think it's funny because I've still follow stuff and seen how Comic Con in LA or San Diego has switched to being like, why is the cast from Community here?
Oh, I know.
It's so
I don't get it.
Yeah.
But it's more of just an entertainment industry convention now.
Yeah. Because when I was growing up and would go to Comic Cons, it would literally be in the basement of a hotel and it would be a bunch of dudes with long boxes that you would just pour through.
Yeah, we have actually a local comic shop here, New World Comics, that puts on New World Comic Con every year. And like legit, like there's like, at least like 8 to 10 tables just full of the long boxes of comics, like they're in the room with us, and they're fantastic. So
we've got a pretty big con here, and they have, it's in the convention center. In the center of it is all the vendors. In the back, the artist alley is not that big. It's a little sad. Excuse me. It's a little sad. No offense to anybody who sits up there, but excuse me. Oh man. Maybe first time hiccups on the podcast. There you go.
I just have that effect on people.
Thanks.
It's my impressions.
Yeah, it is. It's got me verklempt. Here, I'm going to even do this within the thing, but around the edges are all the celebrities.
Uh-huh.
So, and it's funny because I do work for the Visitors Bureau here. And I think it was last year. What I usually do is go and I take my phone and I film like, how are you enjoying Knoxville is what I ask, the celebrities. Mm-hmm. And last year I went and it was funny because Elvira was there and and Peter Cullen was there. The voice of Optimus Prime.
Oh.
His line was twice as long as Elvira's. And I was like, that checks out right there. That checks out. I was like, I would love to meet Elvira because she is funny as hell and she's amazing. Like I grew up watching her, the late night show where she would talk about horror movies. I was like, she's funny, actually funny as hell, man. And, but the fact that the Peter Cullen line was twice as long is like, oh my God, man, that's dead accurate, man. But that one, it was interesting. I got to film these videos and I got to meet, who was it? Lou Ferrigno for the second time. The Incredible Hulk from the 70s. The guy who was painted green.
Yeah.
And him, Kevin Sorbo, Hercules.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I know that one.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It was like 10 p.m. on like UPN 43.
Oh, yeah.
I got past my bedtime watching Hercules, Beastmaster, Star Trek Voyager, MASH, of course.
Highlander? Was Highlander still on the TV show?
I know it was on, but I don't think it was in that same lineup.
Oh, okay.
I think I had an earlier spot and on a different channel.
Ryan Dunn is Ryan something. He's on Sons of Anarchy, but he was in the movie Remember the Titans. He was almost as tall as me. And I was like, holy shit, man. And then I got to meet the new Darth Vader who was taller than me.
Oh, wow.
And then the one that I was the most excited for that might fall deaf on you, Hacksaw Jim Duggan from the WWF from the 80s. He literally carried a 2x4 and would whack people with it. And his thing was thumbs up and going, ho. And he when I recorded, he did a WWF like promo vid to me. I was like, like I was freaking out. It was weird because like Kevin Sorbo was really nice. This was before the Cobra Kai show came out, and Ralph Macchio and William Zabka were both there.
Nice.
And we tried to get, Macchio wasn't there, and he really wanted to do it. I did find that out later. Zabka, his handler, would not let him do it.
Oh.
And I almost went, hey, man, can you do this for like I almost talked over the handler, being like,
yeah,
get the hell out the way. Because when we turned around, the guy who ran the con kind of rolled his eyes. He's like, he probably would have done it. It's like this damn person in the way. But it's wild that, you know, you got those edges and you see people, and then they have a specialty. I wonder if it's like this for y'all. They have a specialty room, and like Gene Simmons was there, but you had to pay like $150 to walk up, get a photo, shake his hand, and walk away. You had like 5 seconds. I was like, nah, man, I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous.
I mean, I was at Galaxy Comic Con last year, or Galaxy Con Minneapolis, and they had William Shatner, George Takei.
Yeah.
So amazing. I am blanking on her name, but she played Uhura.
Oh, yeah, Nichelle Nichols.
Thank you, Nichelle Nichols, yes.
Yeah.
And Jason Frakes, so Riker.
Yeah.
And that was like their big Star Trek lineup. And yeah, I was like, honestly, I don't know when I'm gonna like see a bunch of Star Trek people again. I'm like, I'm gonna blow a lot of money on autographs and photos today.
What is the guy's name who played Data?
I've met him actually.
Brent Spiner. That's his name.
Brent Spiner, yes. Okay.
So it was funny. I'm standing there talking with the guy who was putting on this con, and he came up to ask him a question, and he just kind of like patted me on the arm because I had my back to him. He's like, hey man, can I talk to him for a minute? I was like, I turned around and went, yeah. I almost went, yeah, Data, you can talk to him. I was like, he probably would have punched me for calling him Data, but I was like, but he was super nice, and he talked to the guy. It was some kind of mix up with something. He was like, and you could see he was getting a little bit animated. And then when the guy was like, oh no, we'll figure that out. He's like, oh, great. Thanks, man. And he looked at me and was like, thanks. And he walked away. I was like, okay, you're a good dude. I was like, you're a good dude. You were freaking out for a second, but it was fun. He was nice. Like it's always interesting. Comic-Con, so you started going to them a little bit before you actually started working them. So, and you said you started with a few other people at the table. Did that kind of help you get over your nerves to actually have other people with you?
Well, yes, and we were also splitting the cost of the table.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You know, we were all just, either college students or just like minimum wage working, and we're just, trying to split a table 3 ways and make profit.
It's always wild because I think the biggest one I've been to is Wizard World Chicago, but it was like 2003, 2004. And it was wild because it would be a lot of people. I'm not saying this derogatory. A lot of people like you. And then all of a sudden you would turn a corner and there was Jim O'Barr, the guy who created The Crow. And he was sitting at a table smaller than everybody. I was like, that's the dude who created
I'm pretty sure he was at Geekonomicon, Oklahoma City.
Really?
Pretty sure he was there, and no one was happy.
So that was the funny part. My buddy who I was with was the biggest Crow fan, and he was like, I don't know that I want to meet him. He was like, this, because he does not seem like a happy dude. And so we went up. He had brought, I think we didn't know he was going to be there. So we went and found Crow comics too. And I bought the Christmas book because I was like, man, I really like the Christmas one. Didn't bring it with me. I was like, so I'm going to bring that. And he bought something and brought it over. And he was nice enough. Like he wasn't super friendly, but he was just, I think he was talking to somebody else as he was drawing, he did a little doodle and all this, but it was just like, man, it's one of those, they say, don't meet your heroes. And it was like, It's like he's not a hero, but I also want to like his comics when I leave here.
Yeah, well, and there's a reason why I never went out of state to do a Wizard World or like a fan expo or something, because I knew I was not the draw. Like the draw are the professionals, and I was not a comic professional. So while there is somewhat a time and a place, it definitely wasn't at Wizard World. And it was, their tables were really high priced. And I knew it was really expensive to get in, really expensive to get autographs. And then like the table costs were really high. So you kind of have to factor in when you're doing conventions if you think it's going to be profitable. And like with Comic Cons in general, or at least Wizard World type cons, it's just a higher price point for people to even get into than anime conventions. So there's less money to go around to the artist alley.
Oh, okay.
I would say. I mean,
yeah. And that's even back in like 2003. That's when actually comic books ruled that, to where like Marvel had a big thing, DC had a big thing, Image had a big thing. Whereas now I think it's more about the celebrities. Like it's more about, God love him, Brent Spiner. Since we've name dropped him already, it's more about bringing in people like that, to where that's where the money is being funneled to. The $50 to get him to take a photo and sign.
Oh, at least because
I'm making up a number.
Oh, well, I mean, when I was lucky enough to get into Denver Comic Con, which is now Denver Pop Culture Con because of the whole Comic Con name, like, do you know about that with STCC? So there was like a big lawsuit about Phoenix Comic Con, I think. Oh God, don't quote me on that.
Oh no, this is going to be the pull quote for that. No, I'm just kidding.
This is the pull quote. So basically, and I can't remember which convention called themselves a Comic Con, but the Comic Con name was trademarked by STCC, and they were like trying to make it like they were associated with STCC. So then it became like a big legal issue, and basically all of these conventions got the order to change their names, or they just decided to change their names preemptively so that they didn't run into any legal issues.
That's crazy. That's like Marvel and DC owning the name superhero. Did you know that?
No, I didn't actually.
Because there's a friend of mine who wrote this comic book that's great called Superhero Happy Hour. And it's about superheroes doing their superhero deeds and then coming to a bar at the end. And it's just fantastic. Them picking on one another. And one of the heroes' names is Night Ranger. So he walks in and he starts singing Sister Christian. So it's it's an amazing book. My buddy Dan Taylor, he's a great,
send me that.
Great comedic writer. But yeah, he did Superhero Happy Hour, and he's done it in batches. Like he did like a 4-issue arc, then he did another 4-issue because I think it was all self-published. But like he got a cease and desist from using, to where he had to change it to Hero Happy Hour. And he was,
I mean, and if it's not like a standalone name, I don't know. It's like when everyone got upset about Taylor Swift trademarking a bunch of words from her 1984 album, and like, a bunch of cease and desist went out on all these Etsy sellers who were putting those things on shirts and mugs and all sorts of stuff. And I just remember, so that's a lot like that.
I don't mean to be a pedantic dickhead. 1989.
Oh, there we go.
Because immediately in my head I was like, Van Halen released 1984. I would love to hear her covering Van Halen's 1984. To hear Taylor Swift.
My embarrassment.
To hear Taylor Swift ripped into Panama or Hot for Teacher would be amazing.
Well, I think I said 1984 more in reference to the book, because that's what it feels like right now.
I don't know what you're talking about. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Anyway, no, that's me being a dickhead, because going with the Van Halen theme, I'm like, I would love hearing Taylor Swift take on Hot for Teacher would be interesting.
Or Van Halen, singing 1989,
Yeah, do you know Ryan Adams? Do you know of Ryan Adams' Whiskey Town? God, man, I'm a giant music geek. So Ryan Adams is like the singer-songwriter guy. He did 1989. He covered it top to bottom.
Oh.
And his point was, because he's like a folky singer-songwriter guy, he was like, people don't understand what a great lyricist Taylor Swift is, and I respect her. So I'm doing this so people will actually listen to the damn lyrics.
I like that album. Okay, I'm not hating on Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but, so somebody I know did a review of some podcast or something. They're like, he's just doing that for fame or something. I was like, no, the people who like him. He doesn't need, like, nobody gives a shit if he does this. I don't know a nice way to put that. And there's like a couple songs on there that he did. I've only heard one Taylor Swift song in my life. I know one song.
Oh, and no, which one?
Teardrops on My Guitar from when she was still a kid. It's like
a country singer?
Yes.
She was a country singer?
I was like, that's a good song for that a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old wrote that song. Is pretty heavy. I have never heard a song from beginning to end. I've heard bits of Shake It Off, of course, because it's ubiquitous. Yeah. But listening to his album, I was like, there's a couple of songs on there that I lost in the, what's it called? Lost in the Woods. He does a great, what's funny is now she's released that new album and it's kind of folky. And I was like,
listened to the new album.
I was like, did you listen to Ryan Adams' covering of your stuff?
No, that would be terrible.
But I actually skipped through that one because I heard it was a lot more folky. And I was just like, it's still just not for me. It's not for me.
I mean, she's evolved a lot. You know, she went from country to country pop to pop. And then, like, it just makes sense if she, like, transitions and moves around to stuff.
Yeah.
But,
on the flip side, if you want to talk about Kesha's last album was fantastic.
Oh, yes.
No.
I got to stick to things that I know more about, probably.
Kesha, she did. The homework I'll give is.
Is she the one? I'm sorry. Is she the one who did the? Did they use her song as a cover or as the opening song for the Shannara Chronicles?
That one I do not know. She's the one. She's the one who did TikTok.
Oh.
Yeah, she's she's got a bunch of hits.
Okay, I know I've heard her. I just am so bad at it.
I'm trying to see if I can pull up some songs that she's kind of trashy looking, but she's also gotten into all this stuff with like her producer, like they think raped her and all.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that.
So that's her. So TikTok, I think, is her biggest song.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look through, but she did like it turns out her mom was a country songwriter.
What?
And actually on not this past album, the album that came out this year, but the album before, Dolly Parton is on that album.
Oh my gosh.
Rainbow's a good album too, but I like her vocal, but it's got like, God, I can't believe I'm espousing the greatness of My Spy and Kesha. So the last album has Eagles of Death Metal, Dolly Parton, the Dap Kings are great. But this latest album that I like, and it's called High Road, there are two songs I would have you listen to.
Okay.
Raising Hell.
Okay.
Which, if you can watch the video, it's like a televangelist, her taking on a televangelist. And it's got this big Frida who is I don't know if I'm saying this properly, and it's 2020. I think it's a a guy who dresses as a woman who does this like New Orleans, like big beat bop music rap. And that's the back of that. But then she did another song called Resentment. That's the second song.
Okay.
So Resentment is like very folky country, and it's got Sturgill Simpson. Do you know Sturgill Simpson?
I know that name.
And Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys on it.
What?
Just providing background vocals.
Okay, that's cool.
So
I definitely grew up. So I grew up listening to 60s and 70s and some late 50s music.
Okay.
My father.
That's where I got you.
Yeah, this is where you got me. So my father, anytime I would ride with him in his pickup, he always gave me a choice, country or oldies, and I always picked oldies, if that gives you any indication of why I cannot seem to pick up any name of a country singer except for Dolly Parton.
Because she's an angel.
She is a sweet baby angel, and she is just a force to be reckoned with, and I respect her so much. And I've really enjoyed listening to Dolly Parton's America podcast. Yeah. That has been my like uplifting pandemic podcast I've been listening to, because I had to take a break from murder. There's been lots of true crime podcasts in my life for the past like 5 years.
Yeah, I was looking through your swag and I noticed you had
My Favorite Murder.
Yes, I love Karen.
Oh, Karen. I love her so much.
I don't listen to that one. I listen to the Do You Need a Ride with her and Chris Ride?
Yes.
Yeah, Diane. And she's one of the funniest humans on the face of the earth.
I absolutely love her. I love her humor. I remember this one quote from her who's like, I'm just an old goth lady who's given up on life. And I'm like, I just love you so much.
I've heard her on a few, I think it was on Dinar, that she was so bad. She moved into a new house and has a pool. And she was like, I literally just walk out of my back door and get in the pool. And I look and I just think about how she looks. I'm like, you do not look like a pool lady to me. You look like somebody who's like curtains drawn, like.
Yeah. So having listened to the My Favorite Murder podcast since probably like 1 year into its iteration, she loves to swim. So is what she said. Like that's her like happy exercise. And she did have a pool before in the other house she lived in. This is weird that I know this. What is this?
Oh no,
listen to her podcast. It's a conversation.
Because Chris, her co-host Fairbanks, he made that comment too. He was like, even at your crappy house, you had a pool. You've always been a pool. Like he was giving her a hard time about. She was like, I feel so bougie talking about my pool, and he was like, you had one at your crappy house. She was like, that was a crappy house. Yeah.
But she's like, but it was mine.
I think it was. I didn't know. My Favorite Murder was a thing until there was already so many episodes, and I'm such a completist that I tried to go back from the beginning. I was like, I have like 100 episodes, so I can't do this.
Oh, that's nothing.
Well, no,
now they're up to like 236 or something.
So if I can pull it up and show you. So here is my podcast I listen to. You ready? Mm-hmm. Scroll. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
I mean, I can't do that. I can't pull up my phone, but I have the exact same amount of scrolling, if not more. So,
but trying to keep, and this is recently because I'm trying to switch phones. I've gotten rid of a bunch. I was like, I don't need to listen to the Jay and Dan podcast. These two guys are Canadian sports broadcasters. I was like, I got to be done with them at this point. I love them, but I got to be done, man. I ain't got that kind of time anymore. Okay, we're going to go back. This is constantly Back to the Future. We just got to go back in time. We got to.
That is fine.
So you're going to you go to the first one. Did you kind of feel like you caught the bug at that one? You're like, I've got to keep doing this every year.
Oh, I mean,
I don't mean the Comic Con bug. I know about the Comic Con bug, but
I mean, there's con flu. That is
con
for
flu.
Sure.
Yeah.
The con crud, con flu. There's a few terms. I think maybe, I don't know. I did it for fun with my friends the first couple of years, and then after they were like, well, we're not really making any money, like they kind of dropped off one at a time, and then it was just like, hey, do you want to do this convention again next year? And do you make enough that you can foot the $70 bill for a table next year? And it's like, yeah, I do. And yeah, let's just keep doing this. And I mean, obviously I was in college for graphic design and illustration, so I liked art and I loved drawing anime, and I just kept doing it as a hobby. And I think probably at about year 6, I was like, maybe I can do this full time eventually. And like, that's the goal. Like the goal for a long time was, I just want to get a job at a studio in LA and do that. And then I'm like, well, maybe I don't work hard enough for that, or I don't know. I'm in Oklahoma. I don't know what to do. And, but then I was like, maybe this could be great. So I'm just going to work toward that. And then it was a few years after that I really was like, once I started making enough consistently for 2 years that I was like, yeah, I could do this full time. That's when I was seriously considering it, and then made the jump in August 2017.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm trying to think. Okay.
Yep.
And you just work towards, you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to become an artist full time. Mm-hmm. Did you have to
saved up money? I was like, I'm not going to just leap into this, you know.
Did you have to sit down with your folks and tell them, hey, I'm going to do this full time?
Yeah.
Did they already kind of understand?
They understood. They were not. They were excited, and then they weren't excited, and then they were excited. They were like, how are you going to get health care? And I'm like, well, I'm lucky enough to qualify for Native American health care, so I have free health care, so that's great. And that's like literally the only reason I could do this full time.
Yeah. Oh, what is it? ACA.
Yeah.
So what's funny, you started August 2017. I started my own thing August 2016.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So with the ACA, I think like the first year I did not have insurance, or I had gap insurance from my previous job. Mm-hmm. And then the next year came around and my mom, it was like, so what are you doing about insurance? I was like, I was like, I wasn't really going to worry about it. I'm pretty healthy. And she was like, no, you're going to apply for the ACA and I'm going to hound the shit out of it. I was like, all right, Mom. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. That made them feel better. That's for sure.
But so with, I'm trying to think, is it like a balance of cons and custom illustration work and swag that you saw online that makes it work, or is one heavier weighted? I don't want details. I'm just curious if one's heavier weighted than the others.
I would say that I put more effort. I heavily endorsed and weighted the cons because that's what I wanted to do. Oh my gosh. Well, you've seen my shop. So
yeah.
I love product design. I love coming up with different things. And I like that interaction with people. And I really like having my booth all put together and like its own little shop. Mm-hmm. You're looking confused.
No, I pulled up your Etsy shop and everything is in a weird foreign mark. It's not in dollars, and I'm trying to figure out, it's in euros. I'm like, what in the world is going on?
Check your upper right settings.
Well, I'm not signed in. Maybe that's it. Well. But I was like, I'm not behind a VPN. That's weird.
I'm not.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just like, why do you look so confused?
Okay, there. I signed in, and now it's back to dollar signs.
Oh, well,
that's so weird. That's so weird.
I'm really, in Germany or something.
Yeah. Okay.
I wish I was in New Zealand, though. That was an amazing trip.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to make a note. We'll get back to that. But
okay.
So you weighted the cons a lot more because that's what you wanted to do.
That's what I wanted to do. And they do bring in a majority of money if you're pushing that, of course. And then I try to push my online shop, my Etsy and my Squarespace. Mm-hmm. And then freelance. I'm pursuing more freelance now, of course, because of cons. I also do some graphic design freelance for my old full-time job that I had and have a really good relationship with them. They were really supportive of me, pursuing my dreams as well. So
nice. Okay. I'm kind of poking around now looking. So it is kind of a mix of like, I hate calling it swag, but swag. Like I see pins, I see.
Say a diversification of products, different product lines. Sounds maybe
It's very
a little
fancy.
bit more professional. Well, I'm a complete professional. Don't you know this by now?
But yeah, I'm seeing it like prints and stickers and the pins thing. I want to get into that so much, and I might have to have an email to you later on how you're able to do that, because pins are. I have ideas for pins, but it's fronting the cost and worrying about sales is the harder road to hoe there.
So if we want to talk about that, so Kickstarter is always an option.
There you go.
And if you have, a fan base and people who listen to you and follow you on social media, there's a good chance that you would be able to easily raise enough money for pins.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of Kickstarters, my boy Catkiss.
Yeah, I saw that when I did the Google search. I noticed that the Kickstarter came up. Yeah.
Yes. So,
how many Kickstarters have you done?
One.
Just one. Okay.
Well, Catkiss had to run twice because I'm not super big name by any means. I'm not even like tiny big name by any means of the internet. But luckily I have convinced and sang at enough people about Catkiss that they wanted to get him. No, he has a theme song. It's in the Kickstarter video.
My God.
I sing it. Oh yeah.
Everybody needs to look that up after this is over.
Do you want to just hear it?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Hold on here. Get my water.
She's preparing.
It's gonna be awful. Okay. No, I'm kidding. All right. Catkiss, he wants to be your friend. Catkiss is gonna stab you in the end. That's Catkiss. Yeah,
he's going to stab you in the.
He will stab you, but not the plush. He just wants to cuddle. Yeah,
that's amazing.
And as we're in 2020, he's the only one permitted to give you a quarantine hug.
No.
Yeah, he gives you the best hugs.
That you want. Yeah, I unfortunately went to a brewery. And a drunk friend walked up and I went, "Oh, I don't know that we're doing this, but she's doing this. Oh God, okay. I'm just gonna have to Purell everything after this."
Yeah, just Lysol yourself. Which actually
a waft of Lysol in the air and walk under it. Yeah.
Oh man, so like, if we're gonna want to go off to but anyway, sorry, Kickstarter, Catkiss. So. I like I said, I'd never done a Kickstarter before, but I luckily have a beautiful amount of resource of artist alley friends who have, and I could ask them questions and pester them and hopefully bribe them, not annoy them too much about how to do one and how to market it. And doing a plush as your first Kickstarter is like, oh my God, like, you don't have anything behind you and you're asking for like $7,000.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I mean, he is a lot to get made. And then there's shipping and all that. And then there's like stretch goals and stuff for other things if you want to do that. But so the first time we didn't quite meet the goal. I had set the goal, I think, at $8,600 or something like that would cover everything, shipping and getting him made and tariffs, because tariffs were a problem at that point. Not that there aren't always, but there were extra tariffs for like plushes. I don't know why.
Huh.
Well, I know why, but anyway.
No comment. Yeah.
No comment. Hashtag no comment. And so that one didn't quite make it. And then the second one, I lowered the goal and like had to, pay out of pocket for some things, but I got him made and like the majority of his cost covered. So there's like 300 Catkiss plush in my garage right now. Those that did not go out to backers, like they've already been fulfilled to backers.
Mm.
So, you know, if you want to clear any room out of my garage, some boxes, please buy a Catskis plush. Again, best hugs ever.
Unofficial
Super
sponsor.
adorable.
Unofficial sponsor of Ramblin' Man Podcast is Cactus.
Free shipping on Etsy.
Oh my God. This is getting into the hard sell, man. Started out with the song and now, yeah. This is, so you did choose Etsy. Did you kind of look at, because you do design and stuff, did you look at kind of doing your own shop, or was Etsy kind of all
shop as well?
Oh, okay.
But Etsy gets so much foot traffic. And so the really hard thing about selling online is cultivating a trusting relationship with a buyer. You don't know me. You don't know if my site is a scam or whatever. Like alexandrabrodt.com. Okay, who are you? Why should I buy something from your shop? How am I even going to find you? I am not an SEO wizard. I'm a graphic designer. I can draw pretty things. I know some stuff, but not really. I know a lot of nothing. I know a lot of television shows. That's it. Anyway, so driving traffic to your .com, I've found has been very difficult. I have friends who've done it very successfully, but they work harder at it. And Etsy just has that innate trust built into it. And people search Etsy for things because Etsy has presented itself as a handmade, artisanal shop, like shop around, you know, like go to Etsy for fun, unique gifts. And that was an advertisement, I guess. But yeah, so that's why. But I do have a .com. I don't have everything listed on there, but I do have some of the newer stuff. And a Catskis, of course, is listed on there as well.
So one of the things I do is digital marketing, SEO, all that stuff.
Oh my God.
So
I'm so glad we met.
So there was already one idea I was going to give you, but we'll get to that in a second because I actually have it as a note. SEO is funky as crap right now. Yeah. And like the biggest thing I would say, here's questions I have for you. Hold on, I got to get ready. Do you have an email list?
I do. From people who signed up with interest to the Catskis Kickstarter, the plush Kickstarter, but I also said I would not use their email outside of that. So I probably don't then have an email list. Okay, no, you don't. Yeah. Email has made a big comeback in the last 2 years because of the algorithm on social media. So if there are two things I would say on the website. Number one, you got to start blogging more regularly if you can. Okay. Because Google wants to see your site constantly getting updated or touched, or that it's not just static and boring. Okay. Not that it is, but it's just. That's fine. So that's one. Do an email sign up. You can go through MailChimp, and I think it's like up to 10,000 names, and it's free. I did MailChimp for the Cactus Kickstarter list, so I have a MailChimp account. I don't know how to add. You can actually segregate lists on there. So you could put, like, you can take all this free data. See, you can select all those people you've already got loaded, move them into a list called Cactus list, and then you can start a new one. And it's called like email newsletter or something. Yeah. And then you can just select those. And I honestly, the Cactus people, like, how many people do you think you have in that email list? 100? 200? I think somewhere around 200, 225. Honestly, I would send them an email and say, hey, I'm starting to do this. If you would like to opt in. Oh, that's a good idea. I'm trying to think how you can do that with segregate, or maybe just hit reply. Reply yes, and I'll add you. It'll be a little bit of more work, and I'm sure there's a easier technical way. But at this point, it's only 200 names. You'll probably hear back from 10% of them. Right. But the big thing with email is not about
like say you do a monthly email wrap up, like here's what I've blogged about, here's some new art, here's some new things to my store, here's the cons I'm going to be at. Right there, you've already got an email done, and it'd be super simple to sit down for 2 hours and knock it out. I'm assuming. You do that and you email them once a month. It's not about driving sales every month for that email. It's for 4 months from now when they're like, hey, I remember they had something. She had something. I'm going to go back and look for that. That's what you're driving for. Yeah, that's what you're driving for on email.
Okay.
That's that. And here I'll go ahead and go into the next thing. So I noticed, do you draw a lot both by hand, and do you use, like you said, iPad earlier? So is it Procreate? Do you use Procreate?
So everything's by hand.
Okay. Some of that looks like
by hand is digital and by hand is traditional.
Okay. Sorry, I should have said on a piece of paper versus on the iPad.
No, yeah. So you were saying I'm going to be a pedantic person earlier, and I was like, well, this is my time to shine. As that jerk. Because everyone's always like, did you do this by hand? It looks like it was done on a computer. I'm like, it was done by hand on the computer.
Yeah, I guess I should have said digitally versus.
Fine. I'm just razzing you because you razzed me earlier.
Yeah. Again, Taylor Swift tackling eruption wasn't on there. Panama would be amazing.
Taylor
okay.
Swift singing the entire Orson Welles novel.
Yeah, I want to see David Lee Roth doing "Lost in the Woods" or whatever that song is called. Yeah. But okay, so do you do kind of a mixture of?
I don't know why I'm split 50-50. I do absolutely love traditional media and digital media.
Yeah.
But I started out on Photoshop and a Wacom tablet. I have a Cintiq. Which,
nice.
Okay, so you know that.
Yes.
For our viewers, aka listeners, who do not know, a Cintiq is an amazing drawing tablet where it's like you're actually drawing on the tablet and seeing what you're drawing in real time instead of having to look up at the monitor like you look down like you're drawing on a piece of paper. I don't know why I felt the need to explain that. But.
No, it's because Cintiq is so, like, I didn't know about that until about 6 or 7 years ago. A buddy of mine is a Cintiq. Like, he actually has one at work, made them buy him one, and has one at home. Has one at home too. Yeah. Yeah.
And I used Photoshop for my digital painting software for a long time. And then I also got Corel Painter, which is actually super good.
Oh, okay.
It's very, whereas like Photoshop is very, back in the day, like 10 years ago, Photoshop was like, it looked like digital art, like the goal, I don't know, and it's not even the goal, but what was supposed to be the goal with digital art like a decade ago was like, how can I make this look traditional?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, because like there's like cell shaded style and stuff, like very like anime, very digital. And then there's like, how can I make this look like an oil painting?
Right.
And I found it was a lot easier to achieve a painterly look in Corel Painter than Photoshop. Now, Photoshop brushes, obviously, they do anything and everything now. So, like, there's all that. And Procreate has blown everyone out of the water with just, like, how affordable, how intuitive, and amazing it is. I'm absolutely a fan. I actually got to meet the team at Lightbox Expo last year in Pasadena. I was just an attendee. It was a con that I went to that I hadn't tabled at. It was the first convention that I went to that I had not tabled at in 13 years. That I attended literally for fun and like creative inspiration. Like there were just so many amazing people. Bobby Chu, his convention, Lightbox Expo, I can't recommend it enough. It's actually going all online this year. You can watch it for really cheap, like $5, I think. There's like the highest paid level is like $40, and you get some swag. stealing your phrase swag.
Yeah.
And but I can't recommend it enough. It's all these amazing professionals. Lois Van Barla, Heykala, everyone. My gosh, overwhelming. It's so
And I will say Adobe, their conference is free and it's all online.
I just heard about that.
I just signed up and I've got to go through. Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder.
Yep. Okay, so Procreate, the other idea I had, because I see other friends who are artists do this, they record themselves drawing and post that to Instagram stories. Yes. So a good way to help yourself on Instagram in the algorithm is there's 2 small tips that I give everybody, and do this for like 5 to 15 minutes every day. Just set aside 5 to 15 minutes every day. You got to post more stories. They want you to post more stories. You can do that whenever. But the thing to do 5 to 15 minutes, go into the Discovery tab and people you do not follow and like and comment on their stuff. Do that for 5 to 15 minutes every day.
Okay.
And if they've not closed up that loophole, you'll see your numbers start to steadily go up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like struggling at like 1,937 followers, I think.
Oh my God, let's see how close you are.
I'm such a little baby.
No, you've got 1,969 followers.
Oh, that's right. I did do a sponsored post on Instagram and started to maybe post a little bit more. I'm really bad at posting.
Yeah.
Consistently, which I know is such a big thing with social media.
They actually, this is about 1.5 years old. They don't care as much about your posts in the feed. They want you to use stories.
Oh, well, I use stories.
And now I would say if you start using Reels, they'll probably really push you up.
I would like to use Reels.
So you can post your the screen grab of you illustrating into Reels, and probably it'll help you in the algorithm.
Okay.
So there you go.
Great.
So that's why I was asking about Procreate, because I know I've got friends who record, and once they told me you could record within there, they were like, we're going to post that to stories. That's going to, then we don't have to think about content. There's the content that I'm already doing. So,
smart.
Yeah.
I know. I see Lois do that a lot. I see her post recordings of her sketches, and even doing like a cool thing where like you can, like when it's recorded, you can go back to the video and you can do the slider where it shows like the very beginning to the very end.
Yeah.
And she'll just like do a little swipe to show you like the very beginning, and like you see a quick progression and you see the final, and she just like goes back, and that's a cute little story teaser.
Yeah.
And she's like, watch the full video here, on YouTube or wherever, Patreon.
I'm trying to find, there's somebody I like that I think you would like. She goes by Designed by Shea, Shea. So she is a digital artist out of Atlanta, and she does a lot of the drawing she's done is like, she just did, who is this? Pussy Galore from Goldfinger. Like she did a whole series on Bond women.
Oh man!
And her art, I've bought some of her prints because they're. She did the twin sisters from the sisters from White Christmas in their blue garb with the feathers.
Oh,
like she's really good, but she does a lot of like the behind the scenes. Here's how I drew.
Yeah,
she's also
people really like that.
Yeah,
it's really good connection between artists and
process videos.
Yeah, process videos.
Yeah, she started doing that. I'm looking at her feed, and I was like, oh, you're really starting to do that more and more. Yeah, she did a fake Vogue cover, I think, with Oprah on the front of Beverly Ann Johnson. There we go. But yeah, she's really talented. Like, hold on just a second.
All righty. Oh, fantastic. Oh, I love that.
She, through Shutterfly, did these calendars.
Oh my God, I love calendar girls.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Her silhouettes are so wonderful. Oh, well.
I'm getting to the ones from previous months. But
What's February? I want to see.
Let's see. April.
Oh, I like that. That's important. It's my birthday month. I actually had a birthday this year. I'm a leap day baby.
Oh, okay.
No. So basically, I had my birthday and the world ended. That's my 2020 story.
You had a birthday and
the world ended. It was the last social event of the year.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, the process videos are a big thing. And if you need content for stories, that's or reels, now that they're pushing reels.
Yeah.
That may get you bumped up in the algorithm. So there's my geekdom and my.
Well, thank you so much for this. Very good information.
When you were in college, was everything, God, what was the word you used? Traditionally. I'm going to say traditionally versus digital. Or were you still you were doing the Wacom stamp sized?
I always say Wacom, but I know
Wacom.
I know it's like Wacom. Okay, but I call it Wacom because
I probably use the same. I use both ways in one sentence. So you start out with them. Was that a struggle switching from traditional to that?
So I had been playing with traditional art kind of just like as a hobby since I was since I got that little Graphire tablet. Maybe I think I was like 17, maybe 16. And I was still trying to paint in Photoshop with a mouse and trying to cripple my wrist. That's what I was doing at 16. And then my parents took pity on me and got me that little tablet.
Yeah, probably about the size of this Post-it note, if I remember.
Exactly that size. It was bigger, and then the sensor size was like the size of a Post-it. I actually found it like a couple of years ago. I was like, oh my God, look at it. It's such a baby. Anyway, so I had been still trying to immerse myself into digital painting. And while it wasn't like a class in school where we did all traditional for illustration, I was still continuing to do self-learning on that. So it wasn't so much a struggle. My struggle would be trying to mimic what I was doing traditionally digitally, because I felt for some reason that I needed to be able to do the exact same on two different medias. And I think that's what makes me really weird. And I don't know if it's appealing or unappealing as like an artist, that my stuff can vary so differently. Like, because I'm also involved with SCBWI, which is the Society of Children's Books Writers and Illustrators. I'm actually the assistant illustrator coordinator for Oklahoma City of our Oklahoma chapter. And so I've been attending these conferences for years. And in any portfolio review, it's always like, okay, I see you have a lot of styles here. Like, maybe narrow it down, or like just pick traditional or just pick digital. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But maybe just for the portfolios. I mean, it's just something I need to do. But I understand people want to see like consistency and style for hireability. And I just need to show that I can do that, because I can do that. It's just, I don't know. I just end up being like, no, I want to do this now. But yeah. But then after illustrating like a children's book, or the Darren's book for, like a year and a half, I was like, yes, I did have to have a consistent style and stuff. I'm like, I know I can do it. So, which was a huge task, but it was enjoyable. It was awesome. So
since we're on that, he talked a little bit about like designing the monsters and trying to figure out a balance of like, they need to be scary, but not too scary.
Creatures.
Creatures. Sorry.
To think of them as
creatures.
Monsters. They're my precious baby angels.
So he said you all met at a con.
We met at LeakyCon, a Harry Potter convention. We were tabled next to each other.
Okay.
In Dallas.
And I didn't think to ask. He had a table for.
He had a booth for his nonprofit Transfer During Adoption, where
Right.
they sold items to help benefit the nonprofit,
Okay.
whether those be like hats or shirts or stickers, and even like some artist prints that were donated. And we got along super well, and I ended up donating some of my Gryffindor prints because Chris Rankin was there and he volunteered to sign them, and they have a really good relationship with him. Obviously, he did the forward of the book, and has been a great spokesperson for them.
Yeah.
He played Percy Weasley, if you're not familiar.
Yeah. So there's another hole. Is I saw the first 2 Harry Potter films, and that's it. And I've
That's
not
okay.
read any of the books.
Oh, well, then we have a problem there. But
I just
the
look
first
at
2 movies were the most accurate to the books.
Oh, okay. My hole is in like fantasy and sci-fi. I'm just, unless it's grounded somehow, like the books and stuff I read are either nonfiction or they're very reality based books. Like I struggle with some of the world building. I've got 2 friends now pushing me to read the first 2 Dune books. They're like,
yeah.
You will love they're like, don't read past that. Those 2 books are tremendous. Don't read. I was like, but the world building kills me. I was like, I need a little bit of base. Like I read, what is it? Neuromancer by Gibson, the first cyberpunk, whatever you call it, the Blade Runner-y stuff. I was like, I like that stuff because it's at least like a neo-noir kind of thing. But I read it and I was like, I'm out. I'm good. I'm reading a book on voter suppression right now. So that's where my.
Is it called 2020?
I've got that. I've got a book on sales here that a friend recommended, and then a book on the lost restaurants of my town. So that's I'm using those as to lift up my microphone right now. Those are my reading lists. So,
nice.
but yeah, the Harry Potter. Yeah, he told me about how involved that guy was, Chris was, and how supportive he's been, which is awesome. But so you all got to talking, you got along well, and he had already had the idea of the book. I think he had already run through
for like 10 years.
He had already run through some artists who just like didn't get it. So
yeah, he had some artists like volunteer to do it and drop off and stuff, because they were doing it pro bono, and I definitely like did a reduced rate because I really believed in the the message of it. So
and you talked about being involved in the children's book, children's book or children's book illustration?
Children's book industry, like as an illustrator and designer. So
you had already done some before then?
I had done one self-published book for a local author, and but it just kind of got my feet wet. But mostly I'd been attending the conferences and like trying to kind of get into doing like freelance covers and stuff, but I hadn't really it's kind of like anything, you try and you make connections, but I haven't got like a publisher, like an agent yet or anything. But one day,
I keep hearing, I know people who have agents and some that don't, and it seems like there's positives and negatives on both sides. Like
you gotta find the right one for you. That's very important.
And I think one of the people I know told me is like, you've also got to hit an equilibrium of, I can afford to give up like 15% or whatever the cut is.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
That they were talking about, and I've got to entrust this person that they're going to sell me and they're going to make up that and make more. Hate to be fiscal about it all, but
no, it is absolutely a concern. And, artists having agents, that's not something I was necessarily pursuing. I was pursuing like possibly like just like somehow finding, an editor or a creative director who liked my work enough that they had me in mind for like, a children's book or a freelance gig. Well, they're all freelance gigs, but, or a cover design or something like that. But then last year at a conference, I did find out like, oh, you can actually get an agent as an artist. And just like, authors have agents, and the agents pitch them to the editors. So I was like, oh, that's cool. The artists have it too, but it's true. They do get a cut as well. But I've listened to enough agents and editors to hear that you really got to just shop around and find the right one and really click with them. And they need to, kind of be into your stuff, and they're your advocate, They're absolutely like, they're your contract minder. They're like, you want to make sure that you retain certain rights and stuff like that. So yeah.
My buddy who has the Two Cintiques, which is a great novel, The Two Cintiques. That would be a good novel name.
Actually, I have my new one and my old one.
He was pushing me for a while to become an artist agent or manager. And because I know so much about digital marketing and stuff. I was like, here's my problem. I'm going to yell at you and we're not going to be friends anymore. Because if I tell you need to be doing, like, you need to be posting stories and you need to do this, the first time I see you not do that, we're going to have a conversation. And he was like, yeah, but I need that motivation. I was like, no, you got to trust me. I still want to remain friends with you. I can't do that. If it's people I don't know, maybe I can. But but I kind of feel like that same thing of the balance on the flip side, which is the way I make money is if you work. So it's my job to push you to work. It's like, you can have your dips and everything, but I'm going to be a tyrant at some times. And I think some people need that. Like throughout this whole pandemic, there's for sure been days where I'm like, I'm going to lay on my couch and watch whatever YouTube gives me.
Yeah, that I was a lot of this year.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want my life to be fussing at artists to do what they need to be doing. Because the same thing, it's like I just ran through. I was like, you need to write a blog. You should be posting more. Like all that stuff. I was like, now imagine if I had 8 clients and I had to yell at them like, 4 of you are not doing this, and I'm just going to yell at all of you for not doing this. Because that's
that's a lot of stress.
That does not sound like fun in my book.
No, that's not a fun job. No. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be yelled at.
Yeah.
It is hard to create your own schedule and to like really, like if you're, self-employed, it's hard to keep that routine, especially this year. But this year is just an anomaly.
Hopefully. Knock on wood.
I mean.
Yeah.
Follow up there?
Yeah, it is at this point. Yeah, it is. So when you're, I'm going to get you out of here soon. I got 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
So even though you have a table, are you still able to take breaks and go out and see, like, Jonathan Frakes is here, I'm going to try and go meet him, or see other artists in Artist Alley?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So, a lot of the times I table by myself. But if I am traveling to a place where I'm staying with a friend, like GalaxyCon, Minneapolis, my friend Leslie, she lives there, and she came and helped watch the booth. Like, they had already bought tickets and were just going as attendees. And so I could text her and be like, hey, I need food, or hey, I need a bathroom break, or hey, it's really slow and I want to walk around. And that's just kind of what happens. And then sometimes, well, most of the time, again, tabling by myself, and you just make friends with your neighbors. And they can watch your table. Like, you gotta have a bio run. Like, you go do that. You need food. Like, you guys ask each other. Like, if they have brought a helper, which sometimes I bring a helper. Like, if it's gonna be a really busy convention, like my friend Julie, I hired her to help me at Anime Week in Atlanta last year because it's a really big con, and it's super busy, and I was going to be on a corner, so it was like more open and a lot more foot traffic. And I was like, I need someone because it's also like a 4-day con. And I don't want to just be dead after, and she's an amazing salesperson. And so I trust, like, I try to get helpers that I trust implicitly to not just, you know, sit there and watch the booth. Like, they might just be on their phone or whatever. Like, no, like they're actively selling for me.
Right. So do you do commissions when you have a booth, or is it just okay?
I do commissions on the spot as well.
Yeah.
I've learned to take less commissions on the spot and just charge more and put more work into a single commission than to try and do 40 in one weekend, which is my record.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It in comic books, you know, they started doing those white covers back in the early 2000s, sketch covers.
Yes.
And so it was interesting, like picking up some of those with some artists I knew that were going to be there. I was like, I'm going to get some sketch covers drawn.
Those are fun. I like that.
The funniest one is there was this Image Comics called Violent Messiahs. Mm-hmm. And the main was a woman, and she had like this glove with knives coming down off of here. And I could tell, like, the guy who I'm not making fun of him. I totally understand this. Like, if you went up and said, hey, can you do a sketch cover for me? He's like, yeah, it'd be X amount of money. And he had a stock drawing that he did for every single person. Like, it wasn't different. So he said, is there anything you would like? I was like, dude, can you like draw her arm? And he started making fun of me for requesting that. I was like, no, it's cool looking, and it has all these knives and shit. Like, and he was like, this guy wants me to draw her arm. I was like, yeah.
Like, not just her arm, also her, but okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just funny. And I think he did end up just drawing her.
What?
So it actually looked kind of cool because it came down from the title that was at the top. Okay. So it looked like a T, That's
a cool design choice.
Yes.
All right.
But and I was like, I'm probably the only one that has that. I can't
believe he like showed you. Yeah. Though. That's kind of annoying.
Well, the funnier part was that with the hotel we stayed in the hotel where all the artists were, because we were friends with some of the Comic Con. We were friends with some of the writers and the artists that were there. And we were like, well, we want to stay in the hotel with them. So if they want to come up, hang out, we go hang out with them. And there was a fire alarm that night. And we were up on like the 7th floor, and it was open in the middle. And I got to see that guy running through the lobby in his boxers coming off. And I was like, oh, there's that dude that made fun of me earlier. Cool.
Like, there's that dude that I paid money to make fun of me earlier.
Yeah. Oh, it was fine. I didn't give a shit. But it was just funny. I was like, yeah, I'm sure that is weird. But it's also like, I've seen you draw the same thing 3 times in a row. I was like, I want something interesting because I'm pedantic. That's the word of the day, pedantic. So you do commissions. Do you have like a list of things you're willing to draw, or do you let them just choose?
It's a case-by-case basis. I mean, there are some people who are very prepared with what they want, and then there are some people who are like, oh, you do commissions? Like, what would I get a commission of? And, you know, some people have like original characters and they have reference sheets, and like they like to go around Artist Alley and get their character drawn by a bunch of different artists to just see like the different styles and stuff. Oh. And I think that's pretty cool. I've
my buddy, sorry to interrupt, but my buddy Dan, who did Superhero Happy Hour, I need to tell him about you because he has a daughter, Jean Louise, who's adorable. She's amazing. And he now has a wall of Princess Leia drawings.
Oh.
Like, I sent him a buddy of mine here who's an illustrator. He did these postcards of Princess Leia. So I sent him one of those. And he's collected them from all the artist friends. Like our friend Jessica sent him a Princess Leia drawing. And it's all for his daughter because he loves Star Wars. And he was, yeah. So every once in a while he'll post an update and he'll be like, here's the Princess Leia drawing wall. And I think I did a program where I sent a postcard every day for a year. So I did 360, actually did 364. I figured out the one day I missed was Valentine's Day, and I still, but I drew Princess Leia, and it's up. I'm like, there's much better drawings than me. Like, I'm just honored that I have a drawing up there. Yeah,
that's a lot of dedication.
Yeah, But yeah, so that I like that about they have a character and can you draw this? That's a great idea.
Yeah. And then like, there's that, and then someone's like, well, I really love, such character from whatever show. Like I love Sashomaru from Inuyasha or something like that. And they really want you to draw Sashomaru. Then you get oh, well, you haven't seen Game of Thrones, so I'm not going to spoil it.
You can spoil away because I already know about shit. What's his name? Hodor. I already know about Hodor. I know about the Red Wedding.
Season 1.
Red Wedding.
This is like
I know
Rocky.
I know about Sean Bean in the first season with the
we
whack.
Don't have to spoil it for everyone.
No, that's what I'm. Damn it. That's what I'm gonna do right now.
No, do whatever you want on that one. But then there's like I did Denver Pop Culture Con a couple of years ago, and Jason Momoa was there.
Nice.
And he's so tall. Also,
he's not that tall.
Oh well, okay. I don't know actually his height. So is he shorter or as tall as you?
He's shorter.
He's shorter.
I don't even know his height, and I can tell you he's probably shorter than he's 6'4", so he's 3 inches shorter than that's. I always with my friends. I was talking to one friend, and he was like, "Yeah, he's such a big guy," and I was like, He was like, "Shut up." He was like, "Everybody's short to you. It doesn't count."
Well,
but he is a big dude. He is a big dude.
He's a big dude. He's really nice, by the way. So he was to me at least. So
I've heard that from tons of people that he is the sweetest guy in the world.
So then you get a commission sometimes that's just like kind of random, but not really. So this guy was really excited that Jason Momoa was there, and he loved him in Game of Thrones. And he really wanted a drawing of this scene of like Jason Momoa as like the Dothraki dude, like ripping out this guy's tongue. Like it's like this, like, but it's like it's like a far away angle. Like it's not like terribly graphic, but it's like, okay, yeah, sure. I'll do a pencil illustration of that. And he wanted it to get signed by Jason Momoa. Nice. And then I went up there to the line to be like, hey, I did that.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's when, do you have business cards? Like, you're like, yes, I will do this, but you have to take him a business card.
Yes, absolutely. That is what happens. So, and then he got a picture of him and Jason like together, and he was holding up the commission. So it was like really cute. He came back to show me. And
that's awesome.
I really love commissions like that. And actually, you had mentioned, your friend and his daughter and Leia. And there was this one commission. It hasn't happened yet. And I don't know if it will, if they forgot or not. But I was talking with this woman, and she said her daughter loves She-Ra and the new one. And like we were talking about, she's like, I don't know, like I want some sort of commission like with She-Ra like involved in it. And I was like, well, what does your daughter like about the show and like friendship, like the fighting or like whatever? And it's like gonna be like it was talked about like to be a commission of like her and She-Ra together, like, well, not like no.
Yeah.
But like in the same image, and like they're like she's like teaching her like a fighting pose or something. And it's like really cute.
That's awesome.
Just, like adorableness. And so like I love commissions like that too. That it's so wholesome. I love it.
Has there ever been one that comes in and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to draw this? Like,
oh my gosh, like some OC commissions have like crazy complicated armor, and I'm just like, I'm gonna have to charge more for detail on
Has
that.
anybody ever asked for a commission for something regular? Like, I hate to bring up Community again, but it's like, can you draw the, what was it? The water gun or the paintball fight? Has nobody done anything like, I hate to say normal, but
like a regular TV show.
Yeah, nothing like fantasy or sci-fi or anime related. Not really.
No. I think probably. I'm like rolling back through 13 years of trying to remember this.
Like a musician they like a lot, like Dolly Parton or something.
If you can see my face.
Yeah.
My face is just like, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure something like that.
Okay.
Like Harry Potter. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's not anime. I guess it's fantasy, but it's like,
Yeah.
a movie too.
Yeah.
So like kind of like that, like a normal, I don't know. But no, I have not gotten a commission of Ellen, Alda, and MASH. Though I should just draw that myself.
Yes.
Love
yes.
that show.
Frasier. You need to do Frasier and Niles.
And I see people who do The Office fan art. Like I see that a lot. I haven't done any myself, though I've watched it enough. I really should.
God, what is his name? Dwight and his cousin. What is his cousin?
Mose.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
By Greg Daniels.
Yes, that is him. And he's tall too. Like, I think that was shocking.
Something from the Office Ladies podcast that I think is hilarious is they talked about his beard, like in that first episode you see him, and that was actually his facial hair. Like he had to grow out this like terrible scraggly beard for this episode.
God.
And he had to wear it for like 4 months to like get it to like be bushy enough or whatever. And then like by the time they decided to like add Mose last minute to an episode, it was like not enough time for him to grow facial hair. So like they just stuck like $1 beard on him or whatever, and it looked exactly the same. And it's just really funny because I think BJ Novak was like talking about it. He's like, yeah, I had to rock like blonde highlights for like a little while, but I didn't have to wear that beard.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh man. Okay, so and on your website you are open for commissions to work.
I should list that. Yeah.
Killing me, man. You're killing me.
I don't know how to do the programming of the things.
What is your? Here, I'm going to get into. Are you on Squarespace? What? Okay.
Which I actually want to do a redesign of how my portfolio lays out. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I like that template anymore. It's kind of weird. I want people to be able to scroll down and not have to keep on clicking sideways.
Okay.
But, I might need your...
Well, if you need somebody to beta test it or look through it, please feel free to email me.
I can always pay you too.
Oh.
Like,
let's see. I've kept you on here. Good Lord, way too long.
I mean,
I
got nothing to do.
Yeah, that's what I kept. What's funny is at one point I looked at my calendar. I was like, am I doing it? No, I'm not doing anything. Everything on my alerts is like, find somebody to record the next episode of Ramblin' Man. I was like, well, I got that can be snoozed for a week. I'm good. You mentioned New Zealand earlier.
Oh yeah.
So you mentioned travel earlier. So this is kind of a two-parter. Like, do you get to travel a lot that is outside of the con world? And what took you to New Zealand? Oh, and sorry, bonus one. Have you ever gotten to travel outside the country for a con?
Not yet. The bonus is not yet.
As a tax write-off, manage your brain. As a tax write-off.
Trust me. I've applied to cons in Canada. Yeah. Nope. I definitely, that's something I would love to do.
2021. That's on the list.
And I have some friends who have traveled to like Germany for a con and Australia, which I'd like to do. Australia, that'd be really awesome. I got to tag along on some, well, not tag along, but we had loosely, a friend of mine and her sister and I had planned, we really wanted to go to New Zealand and go to Hobbiton, of course, because land of Lord of the Rings. I got to go. I missed out when they first bought their tickets, but then I ended up getting to join later. And we went and it was absolutely gorgeous. It was purely a vacation. It's the only only a vacation not connected to a convention or a networking thing that I have done, I think, in my entire adult life. So that was fantastic.
I'm laughing because I just read an article. Do you know who Gary V is? Gary Vaynerchuk?
Uh-uh.
He's this motivational dude who's kind of a dickhead.
Okay.
But I read this long Medium article on him and the cult of the hustle, like rise and grind and all that crap. So it's funny because a friend of mine and I always make fun of that. So you saying that of like, I was like, I can hear the weariness in your voice of like going somewhere where I didn't have to network and I didn't have to. It's like, yeah, just for joy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how is it write-off?
Yeah. If the tax man were listening in, I would say, there may have been a time or two where it's like, no, we talked about business, so this is getting written off. I may have visited an art museum to get motivation, to get whatever, and yeah.
Oh man. But no, it was wonderful. We were there for like a week and we just stayed on the North Island, but we rented a car. It was so gorgeous. We flew into Auckland and we went to this island, Waiheke Island, and there was this winery and it was like called like it was on Jurassic Ridge, and you're like, there are dinosaurs, like there were dinosaur bones in New Zealand, and it's like, yeah, there were. And
there's
a winery built on top of it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So it was like just a bunch of dreams come true.
Nice.
And I got to see a kiwi in person. It made me so happy. And it was funny because my mother was like, well, you've always wanted to go to New Zealand. Like, you even wrote that book report when you were like in the fourth grade or something.
Like I did?
You were obsessed with kiwis.
Oh my God.
With kiwis. And I was like, oh my God. So anyway, and then I really want to do this kiwi like conservation Kickstarter, like for an enamel pin. I really want to do this idea that I have had since I went to New Zealand. Because sorry. Kiwi are getting destroyed by...
that's a preview of things to come.
That's a preview of things to come. Maybe I'll actually do it then.
Yep, there you go. You said it on a podcast.
There you
like
go.
3.5 hours into a podcast, yes. You said it, so you got to do it now.
2.5. I know.
But that's about it on travel outside of cons.
Yeah, that's it. But what I do actually here especially, I like to tack on extra days to my flights, to my conventions, and stay and go explore. So last year alone, I got to go to Chicago, which my brother lives in Chicago, so I got to stay with him. That was great. I got to go to Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Boston, Atlanta again. But it was my first time going to the previous three. And
what time of year were you in Atlanta?
October. So it
was nice. It was nice. Okay.
It was nice. It was nice.
As someone who's sitting in East Tennessee, where it is usually we've hit a cold snap. It's only in the mid to high 80s.
Oh,
whereas it's normally like a week ago, it was 95 and 87% humidity.
We are 92 to 93 all this
week. Oh, crap. So you all actually got it too. Awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, like last week it was same. It was all like mid 90s.
Man, I hate it. We were talking last night, a group of guys met up and we smoked cigars. So we all sat mutually apart and hung out and busted each other's chops the entire time, of course. Big shocker. But at the end, one of the guys was like, we need to start doing this every week. He's like, I haven't seen a human being other than my wife in a while. So I was like, hey, I'm just ready for fire pit weather where we can do this every week, man.
Instead of dying.
Yeah.
No, I have a few friends who will social distance, sit in one of their backyards and like be like 10 feet apart and just chat because we miss people.
Yeah, since this thing started, there's a buddy of mine. Like 1 week in, we started.
Also wear masks. Sorry.
Wear masks. About 1 week in, we started walking every Friday at lunchtime.
Aww.
And he and his wife was it today? Today is Thursday. I think.
It
Yesterday.
is confirmation. I thought yesterday was Tuesday, the entire day.
Oh, I got a message on Tuesday saying Happy Monday from a friend. But he and his wife got in a car and drove to Colorado to stay for like 6 weeks. So tomorrow will be the first time that he and I are not walking since March. And he was like, you better not cheat on me while I'm and I was like, oh, I'm going to cheat on you like crazy. I'm going to send you photos of me and other people walking, you dickhead.
You're the only other pedestrian for me.
But he was laughing. He's like, we come back in 6 weeks. He's like, hey, we won't be soaked in sweat when we're walking. I was like, that is a bonus. That is something to look at. I will still be, because you'll be in Colorado where it's going to be 60. And I'm going to be here, and you're an asshole.
My best friend lives in Denver, so yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So do you think in the future you do tack on time? I used to do that. I worked for a company that they would send me a design conferences every year, and I would always tack on time before or after. Mm-hmm. So I would stay in like San Francisco for a 6-day conference. I would stay for 10 days.
Yeah, I stayed for like 6 days in Boston.
Yeah.
And now the con was like 2 out of those days.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 if you count like setup on Friday.
But I was also like,
we also went to Salem. I'm sorry. I got to go to Salem in October.
Oh,
and it was incredible.
That's crazy.
Sorry, yeah.
But I guess this would be harder for you because you have to kind of be on during the con. But what I would do is every day at the end of the conference at like 5 or 6, whenever we got out, I'd be like, I'm done. And I would just go out and explore the city. Mm-hmm. But I can imagine like having to be on all day. That would you probably want to crash.
I definitely go and like eat a nice dinner.
Yeah.
And like get a drink or something. If I've become friendly with the table neighbors or like I know someone who's there, like we'll go out to dinner or something. But we won't stay out too late.
Have you become regular friends? Have you found people that you're there?
So much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can't do it this long and not have friends unless I guess they know the real me who doesn't have friends. I'm kidding.
That doesn't sound ominous at all.
I know. Actually, it was because I really wanted to go to Salem while I was in Boston. And I was like, okay, I'll look at like a train and a train schedule and stuff because I didn't want to rent a car. And I didn't want to Uber there necessarily because I was going to be like a $45 Uber. Just one way. Anyway, but I made friends with my Artist Alley table neighbors, and they actually did rent a car, or they were going to rent a car, and they were going to spend all that Monday, the day after the con, in Salem. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds awesome. They're like, you want to come? You want to split our own car with us? I'm like, yeah. So we were there. We left at like 6:30 in the morning. And we got there. I think it was only like a 45-minute drive. And then we left at like 10:30 at night. Like we walked that entire city over and over. And it's not a huge city. So we pretty much walked everywhere. It was like a government holiday or something, I think. So the little original village, like the 1692 village or whatever, 1620, I don't know. One of the Hocus Pocus film locations was closed.
Nice.
But we did get to go see the Hocus Pocus house and actually like met the neighbor of next door, and like they were really nice and like told us all about the house.
Oh my God.
Like we're just, I don't know. I'm outgoing and friendly when I'm around people, I guess. And then I listen to my true crime podcast and I'm like, people, just stay sexy. Don't get murdered.
Now I got to remember, you saying that you might like this. I was in Baltimore and I really wanted to go see Edgar Allan Poe's, he has a weird like gravesite there.
Yeah.
Have you been to it?
No, but my sister has.
So apparently, like I kept looking at it on a map. I was like, I don't even know where I can park. I was like, this seems so weird. And then I asked somebody who was there, because I also don't give a shit and I will talk to anybody. So I was leaving aquarium or something. And I was like, hey man, I was like, I want to go here. And he looked me up and down. He was like, you're going to get shot if you go there. I was like, really? He was like, it is not in a good part of town. And I was like, almost now I would have been like, motherfucker, please. I grew up pretty rough. I know it's East Tennessee, but screw you. I can handle myself. Like, I was like, no.
I like how he said it to a 6'7" man.
Yeah. Who's not a skinny mini kind of. I was like, nah. I've been in a few fights. I'm probably going to be okay. Also, the funniest part about that is I drive a Toyota Yaris. So I look like Grape Ape in that thing. But yeah, I figured you'd like that. Like I was like, I don't even know where in the hell to go. Like nowadays, I'm like, damn it, I should have gone, man. I was leaving town. I was like,
you didn't even go. I thought it was going to be like this heartwarming story.
No,
like he was like, here, let's go. Like,
it was a weird trip in that I drove from Knoxville to Jersey to visit my friends who live in Jersey, and I stopped. It was like I took like 10 days for this trip. And she worked during the week. So she was like, I can take Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, but I can't take Monday and Tuesday off. I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave on Saturday. I'm going to go up to DC and spend a couple of days. I'm going to go to Baltimore and spend a couple of days. And the minute I rolled into Baltimore, it was not a good trip. Like that's the worst town to drive in downtown. It was awful. But I went to the hotel and I'd booked a hotel and I was like, where do I park? And they're like, we have a garage next door. It's $20 a night. And I was like, you need to put that in the language or something. And the guy literally went, it's like started, and he was like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. I almost went, I will come across this counter, little man. Like he was just, I was like, what do you do? Do you want to fight? Like I can fight, but that's fine. It's like,
what a nice concierge.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. It started on not a good note.
Yeah.
And it did not go up from there. Like almost getting run over a few times. I went to a couple museums, went to the aquarium, and went to their World Trade Center to go and see. But at that point, I was like, I'm just ready to leave town.
Yeah.
This place is annoying the hell out of me. I got to go.
I've been really lucky in all of my travels. I haven't, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Don't experience a bad one, but yeah.
Yeah. DC was a little different in that I ended up parking one place, and because parking is so bad in DC, I was like, I'll just walk. And then I realized I walked like 20 something miles that day. And it was in August and it was hot and humid. I was like, I feel like I need to just be hosed off at this point.
Trains are your friend.
Yeah.
I have a friend who lives in DC.
Yeah.
So if I ever get to go visit her.
Nice. So that is on the future. You got to get to where you can actually.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
once we can actually, go out in public again.
Yes. Once we are cleared for public again, I want to go visit my best friend in Denver, and then I want to go to LA again. And San Francisco. I have a friend who lives in San Ramon. Yeah, I forgot.
San Francisco is my favorite. I've been out there 3 times.
Like succulents grow like grass. Like I hate it's like literally it's succulents instead of grass. Like covering everything. I love it so much.
The only thing that killed me is I went one time in like June or July and they don't have air conditioning for the most part. I was like, y'all are killing me, man. I was like that because San Francisco is so weird. And this is not a hot take or anything, but there was one time I was there in like November and you'd be walking and the sun would be hitting you and you'd be sweating. Then you turn a corner and it would be 30 degrees.
Yeah.
And it was like,
I went in January.
Yeah. It's like, what in the hell is going on? The coldest I've ever, the coldest night I've ever had is the summer in San Francisco, or the coldest winter. I went to see a Giants game and was freezing. And it was the same thing. It was like June. I was like, how am I freezing? It's June, man.
Bay Area.
It's so weird. All right. That's enough rambling.
All right.
I appreciate you being on here for 6 hours and 37 minutes.
I mean, I committed to 18. I thought I might do some sort of fraction of that.
Marathon. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Yes, thank you.
All right,
Bye.
bye.